Mike, turn your games down.
Hi everyone, episode 191 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Everton, who's also fangirling out with me tonight.
This is Blair Farrell from comicbookvideogames.com, and where once I was standing on my own, now I'm not alone.
That was good. We are here to talk about Marvel's Avengers, the 2020 game that people love to hate, and hate to love, I guess. I don't know. I think that seems right.
I love to love lately.
Developed by Crystal Dynamics and published by Square Enix, which is so weird. A guy who's loved Square Enix for so long, like it is, or Squaresoft, like it's so weird to be like, a Marvel game? Square Enix? What? Like, I know, they got weird.
Yeah, with shout out to Eidos Montreal, who also had support, and I believe Nixus, who's now owned by Sony. I guess they did the PC conversion.
Oh, all right. We should say what version we each played. I played the PlayStation 4 version.
I played on PlayStation 5.
Okay.
Which is the definitive version, I would say, except for something I'll get into a little bit later on.
The reason why this game ended up on the schedule is because I've been wanting to play it. I picked it up last year for $10 on Best Buy, and I have been like just biting at the bit to play it, but I never got around to it because my life is too busy. Well, I played too many games for the show, so I was like, "Fuck it, we're putting on the show. I'm gonna finally play it." I knew nothing. Oh, I knew it was a game as a service, but that was the only thing I really knew going into this game. I wasn't that educated of what I was getting myself into.
I'm glad that you put it on the show because I think when you started putting out the call for people to join, Miss Marvel had just ended, and this game is essentially like a Miss Marvel origin story. Like she's the audience surrogate. It's kind of like how Magma was that role in X-Men Legends. This is what Miss Marvel is in here. And the entire time I was watching Miss Marvel, I was like, man, I really want to play Avengers, and this gave me the perfect excuse to do that.
I know very little about Miss Marvel. I also just watched the Miss Marvel show, and I think that played a big part in me enjoying this game even more. Because I knew nothing about the character, really. Like, I knew she existed. I know, like, vaguely her powers were like Mr. Fantastic, sort of. Like, I knew a little bit about her, but not much. So, like, to come into this, I thought was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I read the G. Willow Wilson comics. I don't know when exactly I ended. Actually, I do know, because it was around when a certain person got elected into the office, and they had an issue that was essentially like the Miss Marvel voting special, and I stopped reading after that point. But up until that point, it was really good.
Okay. I mean, so I went into this game with almost no expectations, and just like the way the game starts off, where you're playing as Kamala Khan, and she's younger, and she's meeting some of the Avengers for the first time, and like I thought that was really cute, and like the way that they're at some like Avengers festival thing, and like she's trying to get comic books to, I don't know what the hell the comic books are for, but you're trying to get comic books, and like I really liked it. I thought it was a very cool way to introduce you to the game, introduce you to the world. You're just running around. She's geeking out when she meets Hulk, or when she doesn't meet Hulk, but she meets Thor. She meets, I think, Steve Rogers. Black Widow. Like I really like that a lot.
Yeah, this game has a really strong opening. She has, because the whole setup is there's a Avengers con or some sort. No, that's from the show. It's what comes to be known as A-Day, because the Avengers are going to show off this new power source, which is kind of a catalyst for the story. And Kamala's there because she won a fanfiction contest, which is exactly what her character is like in the comics. And you have to collect the comics because if you get all 5 of them, you get into a special VIP segment. But those interactions with like the characters are general heartwarming, and I just love the conversation with her dad at the beginning too. Like it's really good stuff.
The only thing that ruined with me when it comes to her dad is I always thought Abu was a creative name, then I found out Abu was just a name that you call your dad in that culture. Come on, Aladdin. Screw you, Aladdin. Lazy Aladdin. So that's what we learned watching the Miss Marvel show. But when I first saw all the characters for this game, I mean, I'm assuming most people back in what year they would have showed off 2019 maybe? They would have showed them off? 2017.
I just looked it up before we went on air. 2017, January was the reveal. when they announced that they had the license.
Okay, that I remember that, and then when they first revealed the characters, I remember there was a lot of hate because it's one of those things where it's really hard to take the Avengers and see them as characters that aren't the MCU actors. Like, it took me a little bit out of that. Like, before I got into this game or played this game, I remember feeling that way. Like, it was because they're, they look kind of like the actors, but not really because, they're not trying to. They're different, not the same universe, obviously.
Well, the best comparison I can give, and it's not something that I came up with, and I wish I could credit the person who did, as when they were shown off. Yeah, it was E3 2019, because the game came out in 2020. They used the bit from Spaceballs, where it was like, you idiots, you captured their stunt doubles.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, though. Like, as I started to play through the game and play through the intro, I came to really be completely okay with the voice performances and the way the characters look. I'm like, okay, these are close enough to the real characters. Yes, they look like the MCU actors, sort of, but that's fine. Like, it's okay that they're not. Like, this isn't the same universe, it isn't the same thing. And I made peace with it after a while, and I really liked it. Like, I really like the way the characters are in this game.
Yeah, it's something that kind of fit into the background once I got into, like, the meat of the story. And then my big issue, it's like a thing with this and Spider-Man, is that I hate that big budget comic book games are striving for realism now, when I wish they would go the other way. Because when you look at something like Ultimate Spider-Man on GameCube, where it's just like it embraces color and style.
Making me want to play that again.
I think the voice actors actually take me out of it more than the looks, because it's essentially the best of the best of well-known actors. As you have Nolan North as Iron Man, Troy Baker as Bruce Banner, Laura Bailey as Black Widow, Travis Willingham as Thor.
Okay.
And I don't hear those characters, I just hear those actors, especially like Tony Stark they're trying to be like the movies. And was it before this came out? Because Marvel's Iron Man VR came out. And
I can't answer that part.
I believe, it was the same year. And they did an Iron Man. It was Joss Keaton who's most known for being Spider-Man. But he tries to be something completely different that's not Robert Downey Jr. And this is a really tough act to follow from that. But it gets better as it goes along, and it didn't really bother me. But I just wish they would push more of like the comic book look instead of the
realistic look.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I want to say I agree and disagree, because I would have been happy either way, but I get it. Like, just what they feel people want would be the more realistic look. So I get that. That's why I went down that road, probably.
Well, if they didn't, people would say that it looks like a phone game, which is the general response to, like, when Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 came out. And I love how that game looks. And everyone was just like, this is a cell phone game, which is the response to everything that's, like, not hyper-realistic Naughty Dog.
Since you mentioned that game was published by Nintendo, wasn't it?
Published by Nintendo, developed by Team Ninja, yes.
Oh, fuck. So in other words, I'll never see it anywhere else. Okay.
Yeah. And it will never go on sale.
Yeah, that's the other issue with it. Okay. Fucking Nintendo. Okay, so like with this game, it has a strong opening where you have the Avengers team being brought out into a mission. You have to go on a bridge, and then it does a good job of switching up the characters and letting you play as each character. I thought that was a very nice touch in the beginning of this.
Yeah, it's a great tutorial to all the characters. But it's really bad because just kind of the way the story rolls out is that you don't play for at least two of them till very late in the campaign.
Yes.
One of my favorite parts is the introduction to Hulk, because you're just holding like something above your head and there's like a guard by your foot, and it's like press the action button and he just like kicks him off the bridge and the guy's just like shit, and like I get a good laugh at that every time I replay the campaign. So I tried the 5 characters, beginning. I wasn't sure what I really liked, like who kind of worked for me. Like Iron Man, I liked, but he's very, very weak at first, I felt, especially later on in the game. And then my problem started this game very quickly that didn't go away ever, and is still a problem to me, is the fact that with this being like, it has RPG mechanics. I love RPG, but to me it was annoying. Every time I hit some guy, I see numbers pop up, and it's like, oh, I'm not wearing good enough armor. I'm playing an action game. If I hit somebody with a Hulk, he should just be dead. I don't want him to be, oh, you only did half it, a quarter of his health. Like, no, he's dead. Like, move on. Yeah, and that's something I think about the entire time I play this and lately, because everyone talks about how you can't make a Superman game because Superman is godlike, but essentially, like every time the Hulk gets hit, he should get stronger and stronger to the point where he's invulnerable, and it bothers me here. But I mean, that's the thing about it's not exactly unique to this game because every game now is an RPG.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's
I know it's not
something
unique.
with yeah.
I haven't played a lot of newer games. Like I haven't played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example. Like I've stayed so for this was one of my first experiences with a game like this because I just kind of have. I play retro games mostly because
Yeah.
the podcast.
Well, this is what Gotham Knights is going to be like. This is kind of what Guardians of the Galaxy is like. Although that's not Guardians of the Galaxy is way more tuned to action. But yeah, I just from just seeing Gotham Knights, I'm excited. I already have it pre-ordered because I own a website called Comic Book Video Games. But I think one of the first things they showed was like a Mr. Freeze boss fight, and I think about how Arkham City's Mr. Freeze boss fight is incredible, and this one is just like I can see the numbers flying above his head. And
yeah, that bothered me too. It bothers me in this game a lot. Like it just I don't know if I'm not into that as much. Like that idea, just I don't know how I feel about it.
See, another thing too is that like the characters really sing the deeper you get into their skill trees. And some like you only started this game this year.
Yes.
Okay, so this game launched on PlayStation 5 in March, I believe, of 2021. And prior to that, they did a patch that made it harder to get to level 50.
Why?
There was a blog post about it, and I'm sure they have data to back it up. But yeah, because there's like people were getting there too fast. And because I mean, you're playing a very, very patched version of this game.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, I heard.
What you're playing now is so much more streamlined than what it was at launch. Like before, to get to your gear, that was on like 5 or 6 different menus, and now it's kind of in one area. Like everything has been cleaned up, and that's kind of like this game has been on its heels since it launched.
I mean, the UI was bad. Like when I first started this game up, I ended up you have 3 different options. I picked the one on the left thinking that was the campaign, and then the first thing I saw was Nick Fury talking to people. Captain America's there. They're showing flashbacks of thing they did in the campaign. I see Modak, and I'm like, wait a second. And then it dawned on me, okay, I'm going to go back for a second. So I exit out of there, then I found the actual campaign. And that to me was like, I should be able to find the single player campaign instantly. It shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't have to go through different menus. It should just be the first thing I want, right there.
Yeah, because right now that's something they introduced this year. It's a new way to onboard new players. Like they have Nick Fury kind of detailing the different types of levels. Okay. I guess I'm just used to it now because I've been playing this since launch, and I can't remember where the reassemble campaign used to be on the main menu.
I can't tell you. I wanted to play this game back when it first got announced and when it first got launched. I was very interested. I don't buy any game for full price, and I just wasn't. I mean, especially when the reviews came out, I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then finally, when it hit $10, I bought it at GameStop or Best Buy.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because this past weekend, I don't think the sale is still going. This game was on sale for $2 on Square Enix's website. I bought the collector's edition for $10.
Digital or physical?
The collector's edition with the Captain America statue was $10.
My God!
Now to get it to Canada, it
add another 100,
close to 100. But I also got Deus Ex: Human Revolution and Mankind Divided with that. So yeah, if it would have shipped to America, it would have been a lot less. But yeah, $10.
Damn! I mean, this game was a huge failure for Square, right?
Well, I don't know because I don't know what's considered a failure to Square Enix because their numbers don't make sense to me.
Good point. Yeah, they do have insane this game sold 1 million copies, failed.
Because Tomb Raider 2013 sold like crazy, but to them it was a failure because I think they have unrealistic expectations. Well, they did have unrealistic expectations because they don't own those franchises anymore. So that's something that happened between this game and its launch and now.
I'm Okay. Do they still own Avengers?
I'm following the news now, and I see people posting on Twitter, and I don't know what to take as actual source journalism. Now, the game is still going because they just announced that the Winter Soldier is coming in September.
Yes.
Or no, he's not coming in September. His introduction is coming in September. He's going to be added later on this year. So they're still making things, and I saw someone post something the other today, actually, about how Embracer, which is the investment group that now owns Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, is supposedly trying to work out a deal with Marvel to keep this going and possibly get a sequel happening.
Okay.
Because I think the numbers, I think it's sold well in its launch month, but then it petered off because for a while there just wasn't that much to do. But I think right now it's on Game Pass and PlayStation's stupid tiered service. That's too complicated. And that has onboarded a lot of players who are buying a lot of costumes, and apparently that has made the game healthy.
Well, I mean, this game is very much, once you get out of the campaign and get into the real game, it's very much a microtransaction heavy game.
It is and it isn't.
Well, for costumes only. Cosmetic.
They did introduce, I think, last year, because I remember I posted in my Game of the Year, I put an award for always stepping on rakes, and it was this game, because they did it. A hold for applause moment at E3 2019 where they said, no pay to win, and people applause afterwards. But then last year they did do that, and then they quickly got rid of it. Like there was some type of pay to win or some type of items you can buy to like speed something up.
I mean, I get it, but that's a weird line you got to be careful that you cross. So
yeah.
I'm just to mention a few more things about like the story, which there isn't a whole lot to say, but some of the early stuff, like it lets you see the Avengers and you see the Avengers fail because A-Day fail, like they don't stop this explosion. This is how people become Inhumans, correct? Is from this gas that gets spread out.
Well, yeah. So essentially the Avengers have like a new type of next generation helicarrier powered by Terrigen engine. Yeah, Terrigen is something created by a Marvel race, Kyle, the Kree.
Okay, so I was
kind of, because they're someone could probably explain it better to me, and maybe I should have did some research before I came in. But essentially, they created this mist as a way to further evolve themselves because their evolution stagnated, and they experimented on people who became Inhumans.
Okay.
In the comics, there was a Terrigen bomb that went off during an event called Infinity, and that caused Miss Marvel's origin. And in this, it's kind of like the reactor blows up because there's something in the San Francisco Bay that causes it to go off, and that causes kind of Inhumans to kind of spread out across the United States, including Kamala.
Okay, and this leads AIM to like take over the government almost and make robots everywhere, and like it was just weird to me how AIM is the big focus in this game. Is the only focus is AIM. Like that kind of bothered me. Like as I played through this game, I wanted more villains. I want to fight Hydra. I want to fight other people, not just AIM.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like something I've kind of been following over lately is that I'm kind of getting more of an understanding of what it takes to make a game like this.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, I know it's a huge undertaking. I don't mean to be insulting to them. It's just that it got to me that everything was AIM in general. I guess I just don't like AIM that much in general.
I think it's just you had to invent something that would give you lots of fodder to fight.
Yeah.
And I feel like people came into this expecting, I think, something more akin to Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where it's like Marvel Ultimate Alliance is like every level. It's like, here's the Hydra robots, here's the Ultron robots, here's,
yeah, I know.
You know, because right now we've only had like villains is like Taskmaster, Abomination, MODOK, Super Adaptoid, and Maestro and Claw. And that's over the course of 2 years.
Maestro, I didn't look him up because I know he's in the Hawkeye campaigin. Yes. Does he fight any different, or is he just like fighting Abomination?
He's just a big damage sponge.
Oh, okay. I went through the whole campaign. I wanted to do the DLC, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. I tried, and I was like, I need to put this game down. I'm done.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's the K Bishop one is more of a slog because it reuses a lot of the same areas. The Hawkeye one is a little bit more interesting because that's where they introduced a new area called the Future Wasteland, which is my favorite part of the game because there's a lot of environmental storytelling.
Okay.
Because it's like essentially like as you get through the campaign, we're jumping way ahead.
I know, it's fine.
That like the Kree are coming, and you go to a future where the Kree has won. So you see like remnants of the war and like Kree sentries' arms or like hands just in the desert, and it looks really cool. I really like stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say maybe I should check it out, but I don't see myself checking it out. So, but like the campaign jumps around, like it mostly, well, not mostly. It does follow Kamala Khan's like whole adventure. I mean, you have action, you have like parkour parts where you run around to get from point A to point B, which are cool. You're getting chased by AIM throughout this. Like you have the whole thing where she has to flee town because she's being hunted because she's an Inhuman. And she gets in trouble with AIM, which I found weird how AIM's the government. Like, she ends up, finding the resistance. And the whole idea, as the game kind of progresses, she's trying to put back together the Avengers to help them out.
There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through in order to kind of just go with the game. Because in replaying this,
yes,
it's like she just happens to stumble upon all this, like, data that implicates AIM. Because, like, during the opening, Captain America, quote-unquote, dies. But, it's, they're not going to build all those mechanics for a character that's not coming back.
Yeah, no, I knew that immediately. I'm like, yeah, you're dead.
And then she finds all this data and eventually is just like, okay, I'm going to, like, you go through this, like, platforming segment to go to Kamala's secret base, which is, like, a water tower. It has all these, like a pretty baller computer. I'm just like, you're a 16-year-old. Like, you have a job?
Hey, you got superpowers. I guess you can steal, maybe? I don't know, but it's just... I felt it did a good job of keeping me interested, like with Kamala's stuff kept me interested and kept the story moving. And I do like the idea how like she's trying to find the resistance. The only thing that kind of bugged me is the person that sends her to get the information on AIM is called Tiny Dancer. And as the story progresses, way far ahead, you find out that Tiny Dancer is actually Black Widow.
What's interesting is that in replaying the campaign, like Black Widow is actually there at the bus stop.
Oh,
she goes and meet her. Yeah, because it's something you wouldn't pick up on the first time that you play. But in replaying, I was like, oh shit, she's actually trying to get her. But then she's kind of overrun by like AIM robots.
That's cool. Okay, yeah. I like that because I didn't like how Black Widow is one of the last characters you get.
Yeah,
not the last, but close.
What I find weird is like the opening is it. And I'd really love for someone to really do like a deep dive into this game because the creative director, his name is Scott Amos. He came from Naughty Dog. He worked on Uncharted: The Last Legacy. And now I believe he's actually headed up the Last of Us remastered. And the opening of the game feels like it's very platform heavy and it feels like something out of Tomb Raider and Uncharted where it's like this scripted jumping sequence. And it feels like this is like the start of one game they decided to make before they change it into something else. Because as the campaign goes along, it just feels like you're in the zones for the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, and that was my other problem is because I knew this game's a game of service. I knew all the history and all the complaints about it. And like you have your parkour part, but as the game progresses, like you said, all these areas just feel like multiplayer arenas. Like that's just what you're here for. You go through, kill X amount of enemies, do whatever the objective is. Oh, you end your little mission, and that wasn't for me.
And what really sucks is that this game, what it doesn't get a lot of credit for is that it has really excellent traversal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love the movement, but the levels aren't really, they're somewhat attuned to that movement. Like Captain America has a really great wall run. And there's like a level in the campaign that's like, okay, this is, and the last fight, which is actually one of my, I'm going to say favorite last levels in a game. I love the final level.
The MODOK stuff was...
Where everyone's changing.
Yes, that was a super impressive, like, final battle. Like, that made me go, okay, this game is really freaking cool.
And, because Captain America has, like, a great wall run. There's levels tuned to that. And, like, Black Widow has a pretty interesting grappling hook. Like, I'm a sucker for grappling hooks. And using that stuff in the levels that are designed for like the Black Widow and Captain America centric missions is really cool, but then it just feels like everything else is just here's this thing and we kind of give some context as to why you're doing it for the campaign, but it's really just like here's a multiplayer level for the live service stuff.
Yeah, and that's how the game mostly feels, because you can tell it was built that way. Like, you have your levels where you're doing things that feel single player, but for the most part, it's all multiplayer stuff. And that was my issue with, like, I liked the story of putting together the Avengers, and like you're following Kamala Khan's story, and as things change, and then, you know, everything is going on. Like, you fight Taskmaster only once, unfortunately. Like, you have, and you know, and you kind of have, like, I felt like some of the levels were creative, like when you first play as Black Widow and you're running around and being stealth, you know, and you're in that building trying to rescue Kamala Khan in prison. Like, I thought that was really cool. I got very annoyed with Hank Pym in this because it didn't look like any version of Hank Pym that I could recognize. Like, I didn't like it. It just bothered me a lot.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing about like a lot of this, and I know how hard it must be to make one of these games now because.
Oh, I'm not putting hate on the developers or anything. I mean, it was just hard for me to like, because I always see things. I just didn't like the design.
Because I remember I interviewed like the creative director of Spider-Man on the PlayStation, and I asked him specifically like how hard was it to get like the cameos for like Punisher or Captain America, like Daredevil, and he was like they didn't care because Marvel wasn't that big back then. Like those deals, but now, like, you know, you can only imagine how hard it must be to license this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like Hank Pym is he's a supporting character in the Ant-Man movies now. Like he might as well not exist. Like I'm even hearing rumors, and it's all speculation about like a Black Panther game where you don't even play as T'Challa because it's almost like they're getting rid of that character because sadly Chadwick Boseman died, but. You know, and that's terrible.
But you can't get rid of the character.
Yeah. But there's a lot of synergy going on. But I mean, that's all hearsay and speculation.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, I'm just happy that Marvel made a game again, to be honest. Like, I'm happy they're making some games. Like, that was one thing I came into this, too. I really didn't care for playing as Hulk, though, because Hulk felt way too weak to me. I mean, it could have been because I didn't level him enough, either.
I've been playing this game for 2 years now, and I have well over 100 hours, and my Hulk is still at like level 15. I don't like Hulk. I believe my friend Josh, who runs the excellent YouTube channel Panels from Pixels, he was a big Hulk main when he was playing, which wasn't very long. But it's just, yeah, it's a character that I don't get into, but then, like, I didn't like Thor either, but then introduced Jane Foster, who's like another version of Thor, and I absolutely adore her. So maybe there's rumors that She-Hulk is coming. I actually thought She-Hulk would have came before Winter Soldier. So maybe if they have like her, that will be the version of Hulk that I like. Who knows?
It just, Hulk needs to feel like I played I think it's Incredible Hulk game I played that was made by Sega for 360. And that game I had fun with back when I played it.
It's Ultimate Destruction Light, and the Hulk Ultimate Destruction is excellent.
PS2 GameCube era, right?
Yes.
Okay, I need to play that one.
Played that?
Well, I can find a way to arrange it to play it, but we'll see. Okay, I mean, it's just that was a thing. Like, I do like it that all the characters kind of have like their own special little parts. You played as them throughout the campaign to kind of get you used to it as you're putting together the Avengers. Like when you first see Iron Man, he's a complete asshole and he doesn't want anything to do with them because he's mad at Bruce Banner for testifying against them. Like, I like that. Iron Man became my favorite character to play as in this game because I could stay away and I could run for my life when things got bad, and things got bad often.
That's interesting because I remember when I first played this, it was actually funny because when they introduced the cast, I saw everyone and I was like, who is going to want to play as Black Widow when you can play as all these people? But they had the beta before they launched the game, and Black Widow became like my favorite character to play. I don't think Captain America was. Yeah, she's great, and I didn't expect that at all. And for years or for months, I didn't like Iron Man, but now I am an Iron Man main. Like, I have a power level 149 Iron Man. Like, I used to be all about Captain America, but now, like, I just have a loadout of Iron Man. I kind of stay back and fire missiles, and I just love boosting around the world.
I mean, because that was one problem I had in this game. Is I played this on easiest difficulty because I always play things on easy. And I felt too many times where I'd feel like get my ass handed to me. And that's where the RPG elements would irritate me in this game. Or the whole idea that you're constantly getting new equipment that you equip that just makes your power level go up or makes little, things all of a sudden you're stronger. Like, to me, that was weird too. And annoying.
And
like,
that's
I didn't
lot
really.
more streamlined. Because before you had to combine equipment to make it better, but now that only happens when the equipment is past level 100. Like, it is so, you would have to spend resources to power up your gear, but now that's completely gone.
Okay, so, I know you're 100% right that I did get to experience a very streamlined version of this game, which I'm very thankful I did. I'm thankful I didn't touch this game back in the day.
Yeah, it was rough. I remember the first opening weekends, there was a level I couldn't beat because there was an infinite elevator glitch where you went into an elevator and you couldn't pass for some reason.
That's just weird. Okay. And then, as the game progresses, I think after you get Iron Man, you get Black Widow, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you find Bruce Banner because Kamala finds her way to the Chimera, and Hulk is just carrier. Yeah. And I'm gonna say, Troy Baker is a talented man, but I think now that I've seen a bit of his personality, I kind of don't like him as a human being. But I really love his Bruce Banner in this game because it's very quiet and subdued.
I thought I thought all the voice actors did fine, but I also couldn't even tell it was Troy Baker until Mike told me it was, because I don't know, I don't pick up on voices, I guess, that well.
Oh, yeah, I remember when the game had the E3 blowout, they had all of them there, like it was a Hollywood press tour. Oh, right, because the other Captain America is Jeff Shine. I believe that's his last name. I'm sorry, Jeff. He did the voice of Carlos in Resident Evil 3.
Oh, okay.
It's a great Carlos. It's my favorite version of that character. And he does a really great Captain America.
No, Captain America was great in this game. I was a little bummed that it took so long to get him in the campaign, because he doesn't show up till really near the end of the campaign when you find him in a space station.
Yeah, it's nearly done by the time you get Captain America.
But you fight Abomination in this game. It's a stupid boss fight. You fight him with Hulk. I was hoping for more stuff like that. Oh, when you first get Thor, I thought that was kind of because you're pretty much whole campaigns, you're trying to tell the world that AIM is evil. I mean, who could believe a corporation that completely takes over the government essentially and makes robots and polices the world could be evil? But hey, what do you know? They're evil.
Yeah, look at all the stuff that's happening in the world now. I can see it. It's totally believable.
I completely. Yeah, that's what I thought was funny. This is pretty relatable. I find it odd that this government agency would just not even government agency, this company just took over like that. But I guess, if history's taught me anything, you just need a big conflict or a big, threat to happen, whether it be an accident, to use it to take advantage. Hitler did. It's happened throughout history. So I get it.
Yeah, it's happening right now. Amazon and everyone is just whatever.
There's a picture of Jeff Bezos in a giant
Luthor armor.
Yeah, and I'm well, Mr. Jeff, did you think about this? You look like Lex Luthor. And you're rich as hell and probably not the great person, so. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say probably, but the game does a good job of how everything connects, and you meet when you first meet Thor, he's not even wearing the armor, he's just wearing a shirt that says, God, I know it's a reference to the old comic book where his name was something else at first, or his, secret identity.
Yeah, because in some of the Thor comics, Thor somehow shares the body of a physician named Donald Blake.
Yes.
Where he taps his cane to the ground and becomes Thor. Because after the events of A-Day, Thor just kind of becomes a volunteer. I love Thor's introduction.
I thought that was funny. I didn't like playing as Thor that much, though. He didn't do it for me. I think part of it was you get him so late in the game and he wasn't leveled up for me, because the levels make such a big difference in this game. And that was one of my issues, is that I needed to level up my characters, and I didn't know how to do that in a good way at the time.
Yeah, and I'm still not a big Thor person. However, after playing Jane Foster, who was just added this summer, who is very much, she's a faster Thor, I kind of get it more. Jane is excellent. I love Jane so much.
I would probably like that, because I don't like, in any game, I don't like slow, powerful characters. I've always been a fan of stronger medium character, or fast medium characters, I should say.
That's why I really like Black Widow and Captain America, because they're very much just like strikers.
Mm-hmm. You can run a lot. Like Black Widow, you can just spend so much time just shooting people, and if you have the right companion characters with you, you can stay completely out of the action. Or you can stay away from getting hurt and just kill things from a distance.
Yeah, that's what I do with Iron Man. I just turn on rockets sometimes and just go in the back and just like let him rip.
I really like Iron Man. I also like how this game, like every character has like a special ability that you press L1 and R1, and then you can like for Iron Man, you get the Hulkbuster armor, which I just thought was super damn cool.
And there's a way to let other people into the Hulkbuster armor too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how to trigger it, but I know you can summon it and then someone can jump in.
That's cool. Okay. I mean, I know Miss Marvel gets really big. Black Widow I think she gets a staff and then she beats the shit out of people. Hers wasn't as cool. Hulk just gets stronger, supposedly, and Iron Man, or not Iron Man. What is Iron Man? Oh, yeah, Hulk armor, and then Captain America just gets stronger, too, I guess.
Yes.
And I haven't played the other characters. I didn't play any of the DLC characters. I have no real desire to go back to this game either.
Hawkeye gets a Yondu arrow. It's
Okay.
literally a Yondu arrow where it just flies around and kills everyone.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It's awesome.
Okay. I kind of, like, one thing that really went through my head with this game, like, I enjoyed the campaign, but all I could think of is how much fun I would have liked this game if I played online with friends.
And that's what really bothers me, is that they're putting out a lot of cool multiplayer stuff, like they're putting out raids. And I know the player base is pretty healthy now, because I was reading an interview with Brian Wagner, who was hired post-launch. He actually worked on Marvel Heroes with a friend of mine, Chris Baker.
Marvel Heroes is that was the online one on computers that died? That was a top-down game?
Yes, that was a free-to-play MMO that just went to consoles and shut down months after it got on consoles.
Somewhere Mike just cried and doesn't understand why he's also feeling sadness. He's always so upset that game is gone. Okay.
I really wanted to play it, and it just got to consoles, and then it died. But he's kind of now spearheading a lot of this, and I totally lost my train of thought.
I mean, I'm just happy that Disney is doing more stuff with a license finally for games. Because Disney is such a freaking idiot when it comes to games. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't get it.
I think before they were just I think everyone, it's kind of how people in the movie industry are now, where they're just they see a bunch of money and they think they can do it, but then they can't. And Disney keeps trying, and then they have people there who are really passionate about it, but then they leave, and then they're just let's just do phone games. But now they're at a point where they're just, okay, Marvel's very particular about, we'll find the right people to make the right games. And it seems to be working somewhat, although I think the Spider-Man games are the only ones, because I've been thinking a lot about this the past couple of weeks, about how Marvel has Spider-Man such a big hit, and so is Miles Morales, and they're still both selling like crazy, but it feels like every other Marvel game, they either get critical acclaim but not commercial success. Like Guardians of the Galaxy didn't sell that well, and it was discounted pretty fast, but it's an awards darling. It's won so many awards.
I really want to play it.
Put it on the show.
I know, but I don't own it yet. See, I didn't.
I will buy it for you. It's probably $20.
I don't really like doing a lot of newer games. It's hard for me to do games that have come out in the last couple of years.
It's hard for me talking about a game that came out 2 years ago.
No, I know, I know, but that's also because I just really wanted to do it. But it's not easy for me to do in general.
Sure, Guardians is really short though. It's only about 15 hours long.
Okay,
no pressure.
If I can find it on cheap for sale one day, I'll pick it up.
Game Pass on PC.
We'll see. Is it? And it's better than this game, right?
Oh God, Guardians of the Galaxy is a 10 out of 10. It was the Player One Podcast Game of the Year, unanimous between CJ, Phil, and Greg.
Okay, I don't remember that, but
it was number one.
Uno, dos. I love those guys. All right, and okay, you have my attention though. One other thing I want to kind of mention about Avengers is that when all I could think about is how, because a few years ago, more 2018, let's say, I was playing online games with my friends from high school. We got back in touch. We were playing online a few times, and we were playing Dead by Daylight, Payday 2, a little. I mean, and we were trying to find something to play that you could do. You could do together that wasn't competitively, and there wasn't much like. And it made me wish that they would have known about this game, and I would have played this game with them because this would have been perfect just to mash around, shoot the shit for a few hours, and you can't get that mad at it because you're not like losing anybody. You're just losing to the computer.
Yeah,
if you lose.
And the few times I played this with friends, that's essentially how they described it, as it's something to keep our hands busy because everyone doesn't want to talk on the phone, but they'll talk and play a game.
Yes. And you talk as a group.
And I'm really bummed that because everyone I know was excited to play this because they always wanted to play like live service games together. And I know people like Diego Rivera, who has an excellent YouTube channel you should check out, and Xavier Godzilla Mendoza, and Josh from Pounds of Pixels. I'm doing a lot of name dropping. I do apologize. And we all played together, but then everyone just bounced because they just got bored with it, and no one has came back. But now I'm back in and really want to play multiplayer, but I don't have any high-level friends to play with. And I can't convince anyone to come back. I would like to, but I also understand why they wouldn't.
I mean, I completely get that. I thought about it, but I just can't play online games. But it was just like one of those things where, because that's what I want to do. I just wanted to level my characters. I felt too weak. I felt like I was getting my ass handed to me too much. I didn't like that. I wanted to be just overly powerful and crush my enemies, and that's not how I felt, because this game just bum rushes you with monsters or robots or whatever enemies. It just bum rushes you with them.
Yeah, it's a CJ Sea of Thieves level of commitment to get a lot out of it.
Okay.
And
so
that's
you mean
why
have just play nothing but Sea of Thieves for like thousands of hours and people wonder how you do it?
And that's why, like, when I first played it, because I had Captain America level 50, and I can't remember who else, Black Widow, and when they announced that they were making it harder to level up, I just started playing like crazy to get everyone to 50 before, like, the deadline went on. Because I think I had, like, Kate and possibly Kamala and Iron Man.
Is 50 the max level then?
50 is the max level, although the way the system works is that you have... So when the game was introduced, you had level 50... But since then, they've added champion levels. So once you capped a level 50, there wasn't anything to do other than get your gear to power level 150. And I think you can get gear that goes above that now. And now you have extra champion levels to also work towards. So there are incentives to keep playing. It's just how much patience you have with kind of doing the same levels. Like the way I kind of enjoy this game is I come in every night and do... Well, not every night, but every now and then I'll jump in and do a few levels. And when they do a new character, like every character has like a mission chain.
Okay.
Like I just did the one with Spider-Man and Jane Foster. And I did those, and then I'm good for a while. And then I put in Winter Soldier, and then I'll come back. But then I know people who like on Twitter, and they just love this game, and I'm really happy for them.
I'm glad that people are playing it. I'm glad people like it. I was sad I didn't like it more because I really wanted to. Like when I first started playing it, it felt good, but the dodging mechanic never felt right for me. It wasn't like Spider-Man or Arkham. It just wasn't right.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Spider-Man and Arkham is that those games are finely tuned for the strengths of one character.
Yeah,
but this has to be tuned to like, when the game came out, it was 6, and now it's So yeah, 5. Well, yeah. So Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Captain America, Kamala, the 2 Hawkeyes, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Jane. So 11 characters now.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just wish I would have had a little symbol and made it easier for me to dodge. Like in Batman, I just hit a button. But I get it. Like, I didn't blame. Like, I was okay with that. That was more of a me problem than the game problem. Because sometimes I would dodge and it felt good. So I knew the game had it. It was just me never learning it.
Like if an enemy has like a blue something above their head, you have to hit the right trigger and you can parry.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff feels really good. And I think there's people who would be able to more intelligently describe it than myself. But everything feels a lot tighter in this game. The past couple of weeks I've been playing this and it just feels like a completely different game. And I'm not going to say that over the years I haven't been hard on this game, but I kind of want to issue an apology because I think it's kind of great.
I mean, it was fun to play. It just wasn't what I really... I mean, I love parts of this game, like when I got to be some of the Avengers, and I really felt like the Avengers. It was just especially as the campaign progresses, I feel like the game gets pretty hard at different points, and I felt like I was really getting my ass handed to me, and I didn't like that.
There are certain missions that feel like that. I know when I replayed the campaign, because initially, and that's something else too, initially you couldn't replay the campaign. They added that in post-launch. I think one of the first Iron Man missions is one of the first Iron Man missions really cool because he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have anything. And you just like build armor out of junk. But the first mission where you get your armor is I remember like you have to kind of defend a point before you get into a building. And I remember dying at that a lot.
Yeah, I can see that because I had some hard times with him at first too.
And the first Thor mission where like you feel like Thor essentially is like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings because they're losing, and then you see like Thor on the ground, and then because Mjolnir is just in a park because he put it down after Captain America died just to be among the mortals, which I thought was cool. And then you just see the hammer comes up and he grabs it, and he's on the helicarrier fighting enemies, and you feel like Thor should just be like decimating them, but then like he'll fall down because he's not as powerful as the people you've been spending like the past 5 or 6 hours with.
Yeah, and that also bugged me, but again, that's just the way the game is. I get it. Like, I'm not upset with it. But yeah, I think that's what turned me off with him. I do want to talk about that final MODOK fight because like that, I mean, we touched a little bit earlier. That was an impressive freaking boss fight.
Well, it's a little pet peeve of mine because I get a lot of these things now because people aren't learning about Marvel from the comics. They're learning about it from the movies and now the games. So MODOK, I believe, is coming in the new Ant-Man movie.
God, I don't want to see MODOK live action.
So thus far, there's been no MODOK. So this might be someone's first introduction to MODOK, and I do like his... Because what happens is there's a guy named George Charlton who nearly dies after the explosion. You find out that he's being kept alive by Captain America's blood, but it's turning him into, I guess, a technopath, someone who can control machines.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually he starts calling himself MODOK, but they don't explain what that is in the cinematics. It's something that's in an audio log. He just starts calling himself MODOK, but he never once says like it's what MODOK stands for, because it's mental organism designed only for killing or conquest, depending on the media. But he just starts calling him that, but it's only an audio log, because I asked friends when it came out, I was like, what? Why does he start calling himself MODOK? And then someone found an audio log and had to show me. And I was like, I would have never looked for that.
I just knew it was MODOK because I thought he called himself MODOK at one time, like but
he starts calling himself MODOK, but he doesn't explain what MODOK is.
Oh, okay.
Why
I mean, for me,
he starts calling himself MODOK.
I just know what MODOK is, but like, is in the comics, is MODOK a guy who gets a big head and then turns into that, or is it like a computer? That
people again would know better than
okay,
myself.
That's fine. It's not a character that matters in any shape or form, but it was just really weird to me to be like, MODOK is the main villain in this game? Like, okay. It was just not what I expected in an Avenger. Like, you never think about MODOK. He's a dumb character.
Yeah, and I think the intention was to start small, perhaps. Because I know I'm really excited to see where things are going, because now I think with the Winter Soldier, they're starting to move beyond kind of the AIM storyline a little.
Okay.
It seems like they're trying to put a pin in it, because they introduced a new boss fight with Monica that strongly hints that, because you find out post-launch in like the Hawkeye and the Kate Bishop thing that Nick Fury is actually working with Monica in the future to create a cosmic cube, and that comes back to the past. And the cosmic cube looks like at one point that it might kind of start Ultron, which I don't know how it would work for this game, because you would just be fighting a different type of robot.
Yeah, my guess is it's something for the next game maybe that they're setting up for.
I think the Kree would probably be the next enemy, because I think they're strongly hinting at like the Kree are coming, so it'd be like a Kree war. So I guess the new enemies would be some variation of like Kree soldiers and blue aliens.
Maybe Skrulls, maybe for fun.
Yeah.
All right, like in that final boss fight, like they do a good job of making you play as all the different characters throughout the fight. You fight MODOK in different ways, and then in the end, you find out there's a giant Kree soldier underwater. That's what affected the power plant or the ship all those years ago. Like, and then Miss Marvel becomes just huge and fights it hand to hand. Like I was like, okay, this is really cool and fun.
Yeah, that's so great. And there's so many parts in this where you get to play as Captain America, and a lot of the level is cool environmental traversal where you have to like knock down like platforms, like you hit buttons with your shield, and there's a lot of moving around, and that's what I love when this game is really strong. Because I've realized over the years that games are pushing combat more, but I love traversal more than combat. So give me an awesome wall run, and I'm happy. Like Titanfall 2, this, Prince of Persia, love all of it.
Rise of Tomb Raider, the second one, Rise of Tomb Raider did it for me, where like that game has less combat and more running around and gathering, and I just fell in love with that game. Let's start earlier episode of that. I mean, I freaking love that game.
I've only finished it once. I don't remember. Okay. It kind of just was in one ear, out the other.
Oh, not for me. Well, I had to record about it, but I really loved it. Oh, and before we cover the last bit of stuff about this game, I think I should give a code giveaway. I haven't done that lately, but I have a code. I have a code for Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 for Steam. The code is D74XM2QX0MTFLCX. I think that's a 0, or it's an O. Never mind. O. XOMTFLCX. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. Someone out there will figure it out.
If it doesn't work, it's because it's already been redeemed, or because you had to change a 0 to an O.
Yes. I mean, and the thing is, to be honest, I don't think stuff is actually redeemed that quick that people don't bother. So hey, if you're interested, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, free game.
Yeah, I mean, I already had a copy of it. I had nothing else to do with this code. I've been saving it, and I was like, perfect time to give it away on the episode where I cover Marvel Avengers. It wasn't planned at all, but it's how I do things sometimes.
I know. As with my Marvel's Avengers Collector's Edition, I'm actually going to have another PS4 copy, so maybe I should have coordinated to give that away too.
All right. And because you played did you finish the DLC, or I know you played it before at least?
I did, and that's something I wanted to bring up. So I played the Hawkeye DLC at launch on my PlayStation 4 because I didn't have a PlayStation 5 yet, and I played through it fine. Now, I guess initially we were supposed to have another person, and I think it was fine. It was kind of put on me to be like, okay, Blair will recap the DLC, which was okay. So I was playing the Hawkeye DLC, and there's one of the missions that they're trying to do an homage to the My Life as a Weapon run.
Oh,
because you go to you're in New York and you're on the rooftops, and Hawkeye's gonna go get lucky and go to his apartment, and some enemies come up, and you're supposed to kill the enemies. On PlayStation 5, those enemies might not show up.
Oh God.
And apparently it's something that's been going on, and I don't even know how I got past it. On Reddit threads, it was like you have to go in on easy with a certain number of characters. And I must have redid this checkpoint like 5 or 6 times one night, and I thought I was going mad. And because I know this game has been patched a bunch, and it's on PlayStation 5, it sings. Like the load times are so fast. I know on PlayStation 4, I don't know what it's like now, they were a little bit lengthy.
They are. That was another thing I forgot about, but you reminded me. That was one of my other complaints. Like, it took a while if I would die or just in between levels, and that would really, like, kind of take me out of it. I'm like, this, because I understand, like, but it was longer than I was used to ever. Like, it felt like it had to be at least 30, 40 seconds. And I'm like, this is like PS1 era stuff.
Yeah, and it's when you think about that too, this game came out in 2020 running on hardware that's 7 years old. That has to be optimized rather for hardware that's 7 years old.
Yeah, I get it.
And the PS5 version, and that's why I say it's a definitive version, other than apparently that Hawkeye glitch, which apparently is only on PlayStation 5.
That's weird.
I know it's weird that it hasn't been fixed 100%, but it runs great. The load times are super fast, and then, I mean, we can talk about the Spider-Man controversy where, this game is kind of not, it's still totally playable on PC, Xbox, and Stadia of all things. But on PlayStation 4 and 5, you get Spider-Man, he's pretty fun once you get into it, but like it's hard to go from Insomniac Spider-Man to this, because even when you swing around, it's just like him hitting some invisible platform above his head. there's no real physics-based swinging.
Okay, I didn't try Spider-Man. I did a little thing where you talk to him in the ship, but he didn't seem to join me. I didn't care enough to go any farther.
Yeah, I was playing it at first, and then I just got my PlayStation 5, so I was kind of replaying Marvel Spider-Man at the same time, so it was a hard transition. And then I put it down for a while, and I came back, and then I really started to like him a lot more. But just don't play those games simultaneously because you will not like this one.
That's what I figured. I mean, I just didn't mess with it. I mean, I just didn't care. I mean, I just wanted to finish the campaign at that point. I tried to screw around a little bit, then I just turned the game off. But I mean, the Hawkeye campaign interested me. I mean, it looked cool. I wanted to try it. I was trying to do the Kate Bishop stuff, but just like going through all these rooms, and I got to one where I had to like play King of the Hill essentially, and it just didn't work for me. And I was like, I need to be done and move on to the next game.
Yeah, they kind of do a mini recap of the Kate Bishop campaign before you start Hawkeye. She's okay. She's not one of my favorite characters. She's voiced by Ashley Birch, and I kind of find her a little bit annoying in this when I was replaying it. And I found it weird that they just put in two Hawkeyes so close to one another when...
Yeah, I found that weird, too. That
they are very different. Hawkeye almost acts as a support character because he can't like shoot a healing arrow into a ground, which makes like a giant circle that everyone kind of run in and get their health back.
Oh, that's cool.
And Kate Bishop kind of has like a short-term teleporter. It's kind of contextual that she stole tech from AIM and kind of used it herself. But it uses a lot of the same environments, whereas Hawkeye introduces like a new character in Maestro, or a new boss rather in Maestro in the future Wasteland. And you speak with Old Man Hawkeye too, which is pretty cool.
I like Old Man Hawkeye. I like the Old Man Logan type, that comic run.
Yeah, except he has two arms here.
Okay. And then the Black Panther one, how is that?
I haven't played it since launch. That's the only one I didn't replay for this because I know it's a little bit longer. And again, it brings in a new environment in Wakanda. Black Panther is really cool. He's not one of my favorites, but he's also voiced by Chris Judge, who you might know as the voice of the new Kratos.
Okay.
So he's great, and it's also written by co-written by Evan Narcisse, who also helped write Miles Morales and who has done Black Panther comics. So that stuff is really cool. Black Panther is all like Captain America. There's a lot of wall running and double jumping and traversal and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's still a lot of... It's actually interesting because they brought in new enemies and they're like spider robots. So that's why the game has an arachnophobia warning.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay. I mean, okay, I do want to say I like how cool it was that this game had a lot of stuff to be inclusive, to like, you know, if you have a hard time seeing things, you can change the colors, you can do this. I was happy to see the game had that much type of stuff.
A lot of games are adding that now. Okay. I know the new Last of Us has a lot of stuff, and Guardians of the Galaxy has a lot of stuff too.
Is it sad that the first one popped in my head was like my new girlfriend from Scott Pilgrim? That's what popped in my head just now when you said new Last of Us.
I just keep thinking of Smithers. It's like, oh, it's the same Malibu Stacy. It's like, but it has a new hat.
Oh, that's just what popped in my head. Okay. I mean, I was tempted to want to try this stuff, but I was like, I would need to level him up, I'm sure, in order to beat it, and that made me not want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that you shouldn't play if you have the schedule that you keep, where you're playing like a lot of games every week and try to...
Yes.
Like, you know, you have a family, you have kids, you know, a job, and you're trying to wrangle people for shows. Doing a great job of it. I will say so myself. Because I kind of know a little bit behind the scenes about how hard it can be sometimes and how schedules have to change. So this is not a game for a schedule like that. This is a game.
And that's what also my other issue with this game is I mostly play on PC, but I was playing this on PS4. It meant I was taking over the TV when my wife would be home and watching TV, like watch TV together. A lot of times I edit and we watch TV, and it took that away. So also put another like damper on me playing this game.
I really wish there was cross progression or crossplay, but I know that probably can't exist because of the Spider-Man deal.
I'm sure there could have been a way where everything is included except for Spider-Man. Like, I'm sure they could have done something, but...
Yeah, it just seems like an extra bit of work because, like, I would really like to... I know there's a guy, Luke Lohr, who does an excellent Twitter handle or hacker alias, Insipid Ghost, who does a great podcast called Xbox Expansion Pass. And he plays a lot on Xbox, but I could never play with him. And my roommate has this game on Xbox, and we can never play together, which I think sucks, because I know, like with Fortnite, for example, everyone can play no matter what you're on.
That's because of money. It makes so much money that people made deals that they could have made deals with this too, but I'm sure it's not. Sony doesn't seem to like crossplay in general.
Sony doesn't seem to like game players lately.
They're a whole nother thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
I have very little interest in PS5 for this gen. I'm more interested in the Xbox Series X for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing about Xbox and PlayStation is that Xbox is they have their own exclusives, but I mean, Sony's you can't argue like God of War, Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
To a lesser extent, Horizon, even though the second one sucks. In my opinion, I know people love it.
Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, they have good stuff that
they always
really
have
like.
Uncharted, so those can't be argued. But a lot of those are coming to PC now, so you just wait. You might just get like Spider-Man's on PC, and Miles Morales is coming later this year.
I'm just happy to see. I mean, I think financially it just makes sense at this point to put more stuff on more things.
Yeah, I know that's Microsoft's plan now. They're like exclusives don't make sense anymore.
No, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
I want to be done with exclusives anyway because I want to play more games. In the Black Panther DLC, who are the two bosses you fight? I know it's Ulysses Claw and there's someone else, correct?
You fight Crossbones at some points.
Why the fuck is Crossbones?
I guess they just need another mercenary, and that's something. I mean, the joke about this game is that you fight Taskmaster clones in the thing. So Taskmaster, he's had a rough 2 years, or they've had a rough 2 years, because the whole thing is like, oh, I learned from, like, he has a photographic fighting style.
Yeah.
But in the fight on the bridge at the very beginning, he just keeps doing the same thing over and over again, which I find quite humorous. He's a lot cooler in Spider-Man.
I just thought it was just weird that you have Crossbones and like I was like, why is Crossbones in this? But I don't know. I mean, I don't have any plan to play the other campaign, but it looked cool. It interests me. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad this game is still being developed and pursued. And if it was something that I got together with all my friends at night, and had a different type of lifestyle. I would love something like this just to play online with never ending, just get new loot, upgrade, run through stuff, shoot the shit. Like, I wish I would have had this game at a different point in my life.
Me too. I wish I had friends who were playing it. I don't like the idea of playing with randoms and a lot of the things now. No. I know there's like big raids coming, and they sound really cool, but you can't play them on your own. I've tried. They actually won't let you.
And that
bums me out.
That's the internet type stuff.
And that's the thing, because I know people are like, well, it's a live service game, but then they kind of also position it so you can play it on your own. So it's very weird.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit on your own, but yeah, mostly live service. Okay, anything else do you want to say about the game before we go on to questions, comments, or memories?
I just want to give an apology to Crystal Dynamics and IDOS Montreal and everyone who worked on this game I'm actually planning, we'll see if I actually get around to it. I want to re-review this game because it's something I've never done.
Well, this is a game that's completely changed. From the sound of everything you've been telling me, I mean, that's just the type of game. It's not, I don't think you can, a live service game, I think it's hard to review when it first comes out because it's going to change so much as time progresses.
Yeah, and so it's something I kind of want to reevaluate because I think it is worth playing, especially now that, as Brian Wagner put in an interview, it's not free to play, but it kind of sort of is because it's on Game Pass and PlayStation. And I mean, this past weekend, you could have snagged a physical copy for $2.
Yeah, pretty much free to play.
It's boosted the player base a lot, and I hope they get to maybe do a sequel that's unshackled from like kind of the last generation and really just focus, because I think they have a bunch of people there now who are super passionate about it who can maybe make something really great that's kind of maybe live service and single player that, maybe is like the dream, what this was originally meant to be.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would like that. All right, let me grab my phone and we're going to see what I did get a few comments and memories, more than I was expecting. So people had stuff to say about this game. So let's see what I got. First from the Giant Bomb group. I got from Brett Shepard. I absolutely love this game, even the live service aspects. Honestly think I could grind out all the characters despite the repetitive nature of the missions because the combat is so enjoyable. I forced myself to stop playing because there are too many games out there to spend endlessly grinding on it, though. Okay.
I get it.
Me too. From Derek Seabrook. For how much can you get it now, the game is a steal. The combat is a lot of fun. Majority of the characters play differently, which makes it easier for you to grind them the max level. You would think that Kate, Clint, are equal characters, but they are very different. The actual story missions are written well, and they have the best battle pass. You know, the one where if you buy the battle pass, you will make back the money you spent to buy said battle pass, so you can buy another battle pass, and the costumes are nice looking. Okay.
Yeah, boy, I'm hovering over that Winter Soldier costume. I might get it after this is over.
From Joey Gills, love this game and the fact that it introduced me to my favorite new Avenger, Kamala Khan. She's rad and well written, both in this, the comics, and her new show, Long Live Miss Marvel. Right.
Yeah.
Here's a good one from Andrew R. That game legit made my launch PS4 sound like it was going to take off and fly around the room. The fans are running so hard.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. And here's another one just for Mike from Des Fleming. Every moment I spent playing this game made me sadder and sadder about Marvel Heroes 2016. I never played it. I kind of regret that now because, well, I know it's not a possibility. So, which is sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
From official Laser Time community, I got a few. First one from Jason Heiser. Did you play multiplayer? Plan on giving this a go with some friends? I did not because it's me, but I think you would enjoy it if you did.
I did, and it was a lot of fun.
So, all right, from Josh Shoop. I truly feel that this game is incredible as a single player experience. The only reason why it becomes a big hassle is when you get to end game stuff and it becomes Destiny. I feel like the people that talk a lot of crap about it are usually the ones that never played it. Yeah.
I have, yeah. Although I know Xavier Mendoza did a video with the Spider-Man launch last year, and I know in grinding, he's like it felt like a job at points, and I totally get that. But yeah, there are a lot of people who are just kind of like the dunk on things, just to dunk on things.
Yeah, and if it gets to gets clicks, if you're that kind of person, like I think that's very normal too. So I get it. All right, and from Charles Morgan, like you said, equal parts amazing and annoying, but the story kept me going. I really enjoyed the main story, and it helps keep things trucking along, though the not-so-great parts. Multiplayer isn't required there, but it's still fun. The endgame/live service part stinks. All right, and from Tom White, great as a single-player experience with the main campaign and free DLC characters, though not a fan of what they've done with them post-Black Panther. Being wonderful, their post-game experience leaves a lot to be desired. Haven't played much of the multiplayer. Not a play well with others type guy. Same here. Crank up the podcast and grind out 2 to 3 hours worth of missions with bot companions. That's kind of what I did, but
That's what I do.
Games to play. Oh, and from Jeff Walker, it's worth playing for the single player. Having it be Kamala on a quest to bring the band back together was great. Okay, and I'm going to read this one. Phil Longett. I really enjoyed the campaign at launch and quickly became bored with the post-game content. Haven't been back since, which is probably a bit sad. If I had friends in my time zone, perhaps it would be a different story, but bots and randoms just don't cut it. Okay? And then from the last group, I watched the entire OLED replay. I got a giant one that I'm not going to read, but I'll read parts of it. First one I got from Brian Brown. I still hold firm that the best decision this game made was making Kamala Khan the main character. Her story is ultimately what made the game interesting to me. Did anyone else dislike Nolan North as Tony Stark, or at least the way they wrote his character? A lot of the humor in his quips just did not hit for me. My main takeaway of this game is that the single-player story was good, and every aspect of the game related to the multiplayer, including those systems that make their way into the single-player story, actually make the game worse.
I'm glad there's getting a lot of comments of people saying they're happy about Kamala, because I know just anyone, when there's a character who is a person of color and a different faith, they're automatically, they're destroying something, but I'm super happy to be hearing all these comments.
And I got one from a guy, I'll read part of it, from Simeon Moore. He wrote an 8-paragraph comment. I'm not going to read it all, but I'll read part of it. Because it's just too long for me. This game, from the initial reveal, had me as the MCU was really blowing up, but everything they talked about and showed off about the game kept me either enthused or checked out. I played the beta when it was closed for about 50 hours. It was janky, but shockingly fun for what it was, and trying to be Black Widow was an early favorite of mine from I believe the 4 characters in the beta offered. All right, when they announced Kate Bishop as the first DLC character, I was ecstatic and elated to find out how much I enjoyed her gameplay, more so than the core cast. Then we got Clint, which, while I didn't mind, kind of showed how small scale they were thinking in terms of characters to add, that this was still without anything substantial in the game in terms of content. Month of silence on what was coming next after the Hawkeye, and like many times did I and the others in the community expect the game to be deemed dead, but the Wakanda expansion came out with a whole bunch of new missions, a new area, and the raid. Unfortunately, all the new things they added more or less broke the freaking game, and they were not the greatest at communication, issuing fixes, so for many people, they ended up dropping the game altogether. And the last thing he said here is, Oh, sadly, they also said that we'll probably never get anything like the Wakanda expansion in terms of scope and size, and that's a bummer. I think about the game at least once a week, and everything they announced the other day gives me hope. I still have, I think, 3 characters to max out completely, so I still have a lot to do in the game. Okay. He had more, so if you're part of the Overblood, you can read his whole thing, but I'm not reading it all here. So...
yeah, like you put a doctoral thesis as a comment, so
yeah. But no, I'm glad. Like, I am really happy this game exists. I'm really happy I got to play it finally. Well, I made myself, but I'm happy with that. All right, and I think that will bring us to Shelf Stacker Box. And before we go that, I just want to mention we have a Patreon. I normally don't do this, but this starts a new month of the Patreon, so we do have 2 polls. I'm doing 2 polls this month for our Patreon that you can help alter. First one is a movie poll, horror movie. You can either vote for Cabin in the Woods, The Mist, Midsummer, or Troll, 1986, whatever the hell that is. And we also have a top 10 poll for the first time, so you can vote on that too. And the top 10 poll is a spooky poll. You can vote for top 10 horror themed games, top 10 horror protagonists, top 10 horror locations, or top 10 horror enemies in games. So go. For a little while, you can join us, help us out. So please, we hope to hear from you. All right. And Blair, why don't you go first?
Sure. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I bought this game, now 3 times as of last weekend. And the thing about it is, so the barrier to entry is so low that I think you can enjoy this game however you want. So if you just want to come in, play the Reassemble campaign, play the DLC, and then bounce, that's cool. If you want to stick around and try some of the new characters, that's also great. If you just want to come in and do your dailies, that's also totally fine. There's lots of ways to enjoy this game, and it is really well put together, especially the story. It's better now. It's not perfect, but given that it's so easy to get into, yeah, why not? It's great.
Okay, and I'll go next. I'm going to put this in the stack. I had fun. I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed the game, but it's not the right game for me at the right time. So it's just going to go in the stack. But I did have fun. I don't really think I'll go back, though. I don't think I need to. I don't think I want to. But I'm really glad I played it. And then I have one more to read, because originally Mike was going to be on this episode, but he unfortunately couldn't make it. But I do have his Shelf Stacker Box to read. So here's Mike's opinion. Marvel's Avengers is a game I went into with a lot of hope. I bought it digitally on day 1 because I expected it would be a game I would come back to time and time again. And while that hope started off promising, Kamala reciting Cap's "No, you move" speech to the bully kid still chokes me up every time. It just decides to stop telling the story about halfway through and devolves into numerous fetch quests. Focusing on Kamala is a huge plus having MODOK as the main villain is an odd choice. Also, the service model might have been too much for a game like this and had to adhere to more of a Marvel Ultimate Alliance mission-based structure. It may have been something great. But as it stands, I have to put it in the box. The drip feed of new content isn't enough to fix the issues it had from the start. Sorry, Marvel's Avengers, but good is not a thing you are. All right, and that's Michael Hughes, who's on the show from time to time. So that's his review, which I get. All right, and I think that's just about... Oh, yeah, I should mention what we're talking about next week. Next week, we are talking about a game that I've been put on the show for some reason, Super Mario 3D Land for 3DS, because why not? So you can hear all about us talk about that next week. Well, me and 2 other people, but that will be up for you. And Blair, where can people find you at?
You can find me at comicbookvideogames.com. So this will be coming up next week.
This comes out Sunday in about 4 days from now, so.
Okay, so we'll see if I'll have a review for the Cowabunga collection up, which is great. I haven't. I hope to get more time with it, and maybe a review of Avengers. We'll see.
Okay, I hope so. I would be happy to know that me making you play this would, have another effect too.
Yeah,
that'd make me happy. Okay. And as I said earlier in the show, we do have a Patreon. Go join it. You see the link in the show notes. You can vote. 2 polls. 2 polls. Vote. Even if you just join for this month for $1. Vote. Please. Make me happy.
How many polls, Mike?
2 polls. Bitch. I'll Kenneth listen to this one. Or somebody who will find that funny. But yes. That's what I think about. Every time I was watching anything, I was watching a movie that we'll be talking about another episode where and she had 2 guns, and I'm like, 2 guns, bitch. Every time. Okay. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we have a Discord. We recently made a Discord, so if you want to talk with the hosts or just talk and say whatever you want. We have a Discord, so please join it. We need more people. And I want to give, also follow us on YouTube, please. We're audio only, but we are on YouTube, so go join, subscribe, maybe click on something. I don't care, but just subscribe, make me happy. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Half Fury. You can follow her on TikTok. She made our music. And also want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU movies with me. We covered all the original Infinity Saga. He started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40, where he interviews people, how games have affected their life. So definitely go check his show out. And we have covered other Avengers stuff. We covered episode 16 with the Marvel Avengers, with the just Avengers game for Genesis. And we did do the Avengers movies. I don't remember what they are. I don't care, but we covered all those. So go, if you're interested, they're in the catalog somewhere. So yeah, and if you enjoy the show, you can find all our content on Podbean. We have over 350 episodes for you to enjoy. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Avengers, assemble!
We don't actually say that.
Bye, everybody.